You're listening to the Tumbling Saber Podcast, a member of the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network, which also includes Talk Star Wars, Generation X-Wing, and the Rogue Squadron podcasts. Visit StarWarsCommonwealth.com and take your first step into a larger world. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 49 of the Tumbling Saber Podcast. Thank you once again for taking time out of your busy week to listen to us ramble about all things Star Wars. And who am I going to ramble about Star Wars with? Well, glad you asked. Corey, how's it going?
Not too bad. I'm glad to be here, and it's been quite a long week.
Yeah, the weekend's been good to you?
Yeah, it was relaxing. I needed this one to just mellow out a bit.
We're not going to ask you your definition of mellow out. We'll save that for some other show, some other day. James, my friend, how you doing?
Very well. Enjoying the weekend as well. Use it to bounce back, like our Habs did after their big 10-0 loss.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it was rough. I couldn't even watch.
I watched the whole thing. It was like a car accident. For anybody who doesn't know, for any non-hockey fans, we just took this up like it's regular common knowledge, but our beloved Montreal Canadiens got thumped 10-0, which in hockey terms, it's the equivalent. If this was a football game, soccer game, it's like 10-0.
I would say more like 15. Like
it's really bad.
Almost close to 20-0. I think that would be closer in soccer.
Ugh, it's awful.
But the Canadiens last lost 10-0 in 1942. All right.
I don't want to sidetrack us anymore either, but let's just say quick shout out to the Cubbies.
Well, yeah, I guess we can allot the Cubs 10 more seconds. An absolute classic World Series culminating in what can only be said as absolute classic Game 7. One of the best ball games I've ever watched in my life.
Yeah, I'm so blessed to have actually taken the time to watch it because, I events like that I usually do watch, but this was something, man. I was watching it, talking to you guys on the sidelines, saying this is incredible, what's going to happen, and it happened. Like the classic Game 7 of Game 7s happened, and it was so good, just so good, especially to listen on Twitter as well.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
It was so fun.
In Chicago.
You know what? They had their World Series parade, and I think I saw somewhere that it was the 7th largest gathering of people in human history.
What?
That's incredible.
Isn't is that nuts or what?
That's incredible. Was Barack there?
I don't know.
I would think so.
You would think you had to have been, but I haven't seen any clips of it.
Me neither. I didn't even hear that that's incredible. Like,
now I have no idea what 1 through 6 were on the largest events in human history. But
Mecca's got to be on there, no?
I have no idea. I'm sure we'll find out at some point. But anyway,
huge week in Chicago. The Irish beat the All Blacks for the first time in 111 years. I don't know if you guys knew that, but that's just about as big for a lot of people in rugby as it was for the World Series. So before we move on, that had to be said too.
No, that is wow. I wonder where that played bigger in New Zealand.
That happened in Chicago.
That happened in Chicago too.
This week, yeah.
Wow. Crazy week in sports, evidently.
Big stuff.
All right. Well, it was a pretty quiet week in Star Wars news, but I think one of the interesting things that popped out was that The Wonderful World of Disney will air on November 24th. So that's American Thanksgiving weekend. It's also the day before Black Friday. And if you can stomach some Juliana Hough and her brother and some Kelly Clarkson and all those types of people, if you can manage to get through that, at some point they'll air some new Rogue One footage, which is only about, 37 days away now? 39 days until Rogue One? Something crazy like that. A month and change. But if November 24th, if you can stomach some really nauseating music, you'll get treated with some new Rogue One footage, which I don't know if I'm going to watch. I've said here on this very podcast that I'm not watching any more Rogue One stuff. We'll see if I hold up to that. But, and then if this is, I don't know if this has been confirmed, but this is my theory. I'm sticking to it.
Oh yeah, say it, Kyle. Do it.
Just make sure wherever you are, November 24th, once that footage airs, that you're near a computer so that you can buy your tickets for Rogue One. Because I believe, if anything, if this follows any sort of pattern as it did for The Force Awakens, they're going to air something on TV and then put the tickets on sale.
Ooh, yeah, just give me the shivers, man.
So I think that's going to be the moment. November 24th.
Have we talked about what we're doing for the show and that movie?
Yes, I've explained it many times, but Kyle, as usual, kind of always leaves me hanging with the maybe and the this and the that. But yes, Kyle's going to get us tickets.
Okay, I like how it's starting. Go on.
Yeah, well, tickets, and then this time we're going to do it.
It'll be much like last year. It'll be much like last year.
This year's different. This year's different, Kyle.
Explain.
Yes. This year, my treat, Christmas dinner. I'm buying you both dinner at Madison's. I think it's Madison's right there, no? Just like last time when we went to
and better.
Yeah, it's going to be a beautiful thing, trust me. The calamari we had. Where did we go?
Did you win the lottery? Did you win? Did you fall into some money that you haven't told us about?
No, I just care. I don't care about material money and stuff. I think we all deserve it, and I think it's going to be a good night. I think this time we're not going to just meet at the theater. We'll meet at the restaurant, then go to the theater.
Yeah, well, I mean that sounds great, but listen, a kind offer. You don't have to pay our dinners all the time.
Then
No,
you
certainly
guys
not.
pay for yourself. Let's just go for dinner before the movie.
Well, let's just pump the brakes. Let's see what the show times are, and how our schedules all align. Because life
What do you
gets in
think?
the
Do you
way
think
sometimes.
Do you think there'll be like a premiere like there's always been, for Star Wars? Will they keep the theater open that late? On that one night?
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure they will.
Well, that's
I mean,
the show.
we saw The Force Awakens. What, the 9:00 show on the Thursday? I think.
It was about 9,
So I've-
9:30 maybe?
Something like that.
Yeah, and we could have seen it earlier. If seeing it first is your thing, we could have chosen an earlier show. But I didn't feel the need to rush. So I was still able to go home, get the kids from daycare, get them dinner, wait for the wife to come home. It'll probably be very much the same thing this time, where I might not catch the first viewing. If I want to rush, I can. But then you can scratch dinner. Forget it. So we might
I
just
came
do
to
the
your
9:00
place that
show
night.
again.
You know what's funny too? I swear to God, the job that I've been working at, as of December, I'll be working at this company for 3 years. Taking the job was a really interesting thing. The interview process and whatnot, the way it went down. But I told them right off the bat, I said, this date, I'm not coming in the next day. Like, no matter when it drops, I won't be there. And they were like, cool.
Yeah, I've told my manager the same thing. Just whenever you know a Star Wars movie's coming, just know that the next day I'm not going to be here. That's it. I'm going to take a day off. No big
That's
deal.
commitment. I like it.
No big deal.
Well
What else
done,
are
boys.
vacation days for if not for to make sure you get Star Wars viewing in?
Exactly.
Yeah. That's
So anyway-
dedication in your interview.
Well, yeah, to do it in an interview might be a little bit of career suicide, but that is certainly some dedication. So anyway, speaking of new Rogue One footage, there was a 30-second teaser that was released today. And true to my word, I did not check it out. Did you guys check it out?
No.
James, I know your
Negative.
answer.
No, sir.
Corey?
No, I've been off the grid more or less this weekend, but I did see it on Twitter, but I refrained.
All right, so
However,
we don't have to talk about it then.
Did you see about the new Rebels commercial? The I don't know if it's awesome. It's just really cool. Have you seen it, Kyle?
No. It's been
really,
been kind of a weird weekend for me too, where I haven't seen nearly as much TV as I usually do.
Well, this one kind of dropped about midweek. I'd seen it circulating on Twitter about midweek. Anyway, it's really, really awesome. Like, you don't see any of the characters. It's just talk. It's narration basically with a few cool images. I don't want to spoil anything, but definitely check it out.
You do want to spoil. We're just not going to let you.
I do. Yeah, exactly. No. I controlled
You're the
myself there. I
worst,
didn't say
Corey.
anything. I didn't say
The
anything.
worst. So how about the two new posters? Did you guys check those out?
Yes.
No.
Corey?
What two new posters?
Oh, Lord.
It's in the show notes, buddy.
I'm looking at my show notes. I copy pasted it. I don't see anything about show notes unless you updated it last minute and didn't advise me.
Nope. They were there. They've been there all day.
Hang on. Was it there yesterday? Because that's when I started working on my show notes.
Posters only came out today.
And no, I was not advised, as I had mentioned.
No, you were advised. Anyway, the posters very quickly. They're two horizontal jobs, and one of them has a bunch of stormtroopers charging in
Do you
one
like
direction.
Do you like one much more than the other?
I can't say that I do. You know,
It's funny because I think one looks sort of cool, and I think one looks like really lame.
well, I like the stormtrooper one more than the rebel one. If I had to be
Oh
honest.
yeah, come on, for sure. The Stormtrooper one could almost be a poster all by itself. Like they're obviously like a set or designed to go together. But the Stormtrooper one with them in, like knee deep with the Death Star in the background, I don't know. I think it looks sort of cool. But the other one, I don't know why. I find it looks really sort of awful.
It's sparse.
No? Just
it's
me?
sparse.
Yeah,
And I don't
it's
know if it's meant to be that way because it's only the rebels that they're supposed to be alone. But again, I do like the Stormtrooper one much better now that I think about it. And also, if you were to put the two posters together,
No,
you'd
I
expect
just
the
logged in
landscape.
here.
You'd expect the
Are these the
landscape sort of
ones-
to line up, right? And they
Are
don't.
these the ones that Talk Star Wars posted?
Yes.
Well,
This is
our
the
friends
link
over
you
at Talk Starward, yes, they did. They did
Yeah,
share
there
that
you
link.
go.
Mark and our good friends Rob and Steve and all the boys over at Talk Star Wars, part of the Commonwealth, Corey.
Well, it wasn't mentioned prior. I thought I might throw it in there.
Good job. I'm giving you kudos.
I'm
the
actually
guys
looking
at
at.
the guys at Gen X-wing would do a lot of throwing in stuff like that, so they'd appreciate that you did that.
Oh, by
I'm
the way,
looking at it right now.
I have to give a shout out to the Gen X Wing podcast. Their last week's episode. All their episodes are awesome, but last week in particular was so good, guys. I don't know if you guys checked it out, but certainly do go back and check it out when they
Stranger Things, yeah. I avoided it, actually. I specifically avoided it because I haven't delved into the Stranger Things yet.
bookmark
Agreed.
it, and then once you do get into Stranger Things, go back and listen because they hit all the notes. It was a terrific episode.
Cool.
I'm looking at the poster now, and the first thing that comes to mind is that Mark did a glorious job, like cropping it and making it talk Star Wars, which he always does with all his photo work. But yeah,
Mark's
they're
on the
pretty
ball,
cool.
man. Nothing gets past
Yeah.
Mark.
No, he's definitely on the ball with this stuff.
Nothing goes
The
over
blues.
my head.
I think
I would
he has
catch
a
it.
thing for blues.
A little cameo from Drax the Destroyer on the show.
That's one of my favorite lines for sure.
That's a dad joke.
It's awesome.
Yeah, so if you slap those two posters together, you would think there would be like a more seamless look between the landscapes, and there's not, and it just looks weird. But here's the funniest thing about this poster: if you look at the Rebels version, what is Chirrut looking at?
The
He's
camera.
Why? He's blind. What's he doing?
He doesn't know the camera's there.
That's why he's not looking where he's going.
He's not. It's very bizarre. That's the first
He's
thing.
trying
the
to
only
get
one
his-
who's not looking where he's
No,
going.
he's putting his ear to the situation so he can hear better.
That's what he's doing. Okay.
Well, look at them all. No one's firing on each other.
Well, I mean,
like
it doesn't
all their
matter
weapons
if,
are-
it doesn't matter if stormtroopers fire. You're safe.
No, all their weapons are shorted out in the tidal waves here, and they're all going hand to hand.
And I don't know about K2SO running in salt water. That can't be good.
Oil can.
Yeah.
And I look at Bodhi Rook, who's sort of crouched down. Like, is he picking up a little seashell he found down there? Like,
The sand dollar.
yeah, maybe. Yeah, he's digging for sand dollars. Who knows? But I'm not a huge fan of this one.
No, I like I said, I really like the Stormtrooper one. I think it looks pretty cool. But the Rebels version, I don't know. They just didn't capture. And Jyn doesn't look cool or tough running. Like, it's a bad action pose for her, too.
I asked a question. Looking at this poster now, too, I asked actually a recent question to Talk Star Wars, who I think is on hiatus this week. But looking at Baze, I'm going to put it out there right now. I think whatever proton pack he's wearing and whatnot is Kyber crystal powered. You heard it here first.
I hope you're wrong.
Me too. No, I hope I'm right. I'm looking at it right now with all these lights and whatnot. I think I'm on something here. With Jedha
No, they should only be
being...
special to Jedis. To Jedi.
Well, that's why it looks like the colors are red. It's true. We've already discussed that though. Like Chirrut has one in his staff, right? From what we could tell, he's not a Jedi. We've been told, but he believes in them.
Yeah, but does his Kyber crystal do anything for him?
We don't know.
Yeah, but it doesn't power a proton pack.
No, but like that's the other thing too. Like Chirrut's is blue, Baze the stuff that's going on is red. Which
First of all, I just
learned...
have to cut you off and say, every time I see that, I expect him to like catch ghosts with it.
Exactly, the proton pack. Like, why is he wearing this proton pack?
You said it perfectly. I can't get away from it. I don't like the visual. I hope once I watch the movie, I can get away from that visual, but I can't get away from it. Once you said it, I was like, okay, I'm not alone.
Yeah, it's the vacuum cleaner of guns. But like, why? What kind of energy would need to be sustained within that to contain that kind of energy?
Ghosts.
The only thing that comes to mind, yeah, exactly. It's either ghosts or kyber crystals to me.
Fair enough. I think we just lost Corey for momentarily, Kyle.
His Skype is very wonky tonight.
Really?
No, he's back.
There he is. All right, well,
sucks.
let's move on from these two little posters here. Let's move on to some more interesting things. Actually, we got quite a bit to talk about, so let's get to 1.5 speed here. So, cinematographer Bradford Young, he of the Han Solo project, he teases an unexpected and dramatic young Han Solo movie. So, Collider.com had an interview with this guy, and some interesting quotes coming out of it. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but he's talking about Disney's involvement and working with Phil Lord and Chris Miller. And so here's something that sounded very... Well, I'll read it and then you tell me what you think. So they really being Disney, are about, from what I've seen so far, supporting up-and-coming artists who have strong vision and voice and perspective, and they really want to permeate the films with those kinds of voices. So it's interesting, very interesting. Not what I thought it would be, that's for sure. I'm pleasantly encouraged and surprised. So of all the quotes that came out of that interview, that's the one that jumped out to me. As I kind of got the sense that Bradford Young kind of took this job, and I don't know if he took it because it's Star Wars and he has an affinity for it, or because of a payday or the notoriety. But it sounds like he was expecting the experience to be one thing, almost very templated, where he was going to have to bend to a lot of rules. But instead he's finding himself walking into a very open, non-binding, non-conforming, yeah, that's probably a better way to put it, non-conforming environment. So that makes me feel very at ease. and
Yeah,
very
I'll
confident
piggyback
about what's
that.
coming.
It's not the only place in the article either where he says, I was surprised not to run into resistance, and at every turn we're just being told, how can we help make a good movie? They're not being structured. So yeah, that is encouraging for sure.
And it's a big middle finger to all those people, and they're still out there who continue to say that Disney has ruined Star Wars. That the worst thing that's ever happened to Star Wars was Disney snapping it up, and now they've destroyed it, which is an insane thing to me to say. After the 1 year that we've had, go back 1 calendar year, and we've gotten so much cool stuff. I can't wrap my head around. I'm trying to take my own fandom out of this, but I can't see how anybody could say Disney's ruined this. Like,
Oh, there's people saying it, but
oh, absolutely there are. They're everywhere.
Yeah, sour grapes.
Like, I wonder if a lot of these people have even watched the movie. I actually, you know what? I think these people fall into two camps. There are people that haven't seen the movie but pass judgment anyway, and there are people that buy everything and go to opening night and just go online to be contrarians. James, I know you like those types of people.
I'm not a fan. Corey, sour grapes go on to make awful wines.
Yeah, exactly. Like, dude, there's so much vinegar out there. Like, some people just love to complain, and that's really behind the keyboard. One thing I've noticed, like, I'm getting more. I love being on Twitter now. It's so fun, like with fandom. But God, there's people that love to complain.
Well, some people
Over such trivial
they're not
things.
happy they're not happy unless they're complaining.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not a
it's
fan of the
sad.
straight up contrarian, the person who says it just to buck the crowd, the person who goes against their own like opinion for the sake of argument. I don't mind argument, but like stay true to at least your own views. And certainly for the Star Wars movies, there's people who are hating on it just because it's got so much love, and that's sort of too bad. But what are you going to do? Not everybody's going to love everything, and there are people who actually don't like it, and power to them too. Whatever. Most people think it's awesome, and we sort of fit into that group.
I'm happy being in that group.
Yeah, me too.
Of course.
It's a lot more fun.
I love what this article is about and what we've heard about this movie so far. Like, I'm almost afraid that I'm gonna over expect something now because of everything that's been said. Like, this movie
Not you,
will
Corey.
be different.
You're like, they can't do anything wrong. I trust that every movie they make from now till the end of time is going to be awesome.
Yeah,
That's
it's not
that's
them.
almost a direct quote.
It's
That
not
is almost
Disney
a
that's
direct
saying that. It's all these people, these articles coming out saying that the Han Solo movie, this, that. Like, when it comes close to the time of its release, we're gonna hear so much feedback of like, all the clickbait sites are gonna come alive saying how it's in shambles and whatever. But like right now, we've heard such great things, and I believe such great things of this movie. It's not bound by anything or anyone. Like, Disney's letting these people run with the movies and creative freedom and whatnot. And this movie is going to be so good.
Kyle, when you read that, did you think like, wow, they're giving them a lot of freedom? Or did you think, wow, their ideas really mesh with what Disney wanted?
I thought they were giving them a lot of freedom.
I think it's a little from both.
Yeah,
I
it
think
could
if
be a
they
little
stepped
bit of
away out of
both.
line, if they stepped away out of line from what Disney had envisioned, they'd find that like Disney's got a heavy hand.
Yeah, because
I think
the second part of the quote that you added in, that Disney, how can we help you make this a good film? There's a roundabout way of interpreting that as, well, let's take a look at what you're doing, and then we'll make some suggestions, and we'll help you make it better. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I.e., we'll help you make it the way we kind of want it to be. So I
wonder,
guess there's two avenues there.
You know what I think they should do? We talked about this prior, but I think they should, if they ever do Han Solo trilogy, which I don't know if I want, but the only way I would want it is if they film it now and release it in the future. Don't saturate. There's so much to play with in our lifetime that I don't want to see like 3 Han Solo anthologies back to back. You know, like I want to delve into other things as well and play
Pish
with
posh.
the universe.
Pish posh. I'm calling Balderdash BS. If they showed
On
you
who?
the first if they showed you the first of that trilogy, you would not want them to shelve the rest for any amount of time. You'd be like, I changed my mind. I renege my statement. Give me the rest of the story.
No, man. Like I've always been a big advocate of Star Wars putting things in the vault out of all of us.
Okay, hang on a second. Time out. I'm going to call you on that. We both said we weren't going to watch the last Rogue One trailer. Have you seen it?
Yeah, of course.
So, pish posh, balderdash, you would watch, you wouldn't wait.
Of
Give me
course
a
I
break.
wouldn't. I will watch anything that's produced by Star Wars. Like anything
So
Star Wars
stop
I
it.
will watch.
You
but
don't
I
want
think
them
there's
to
other
vault anything.
I think there's other grounds we could tackle before. I would love to see them do 2 movies within like maybe 7 to 10 years, and then another one maybe like 5 years after. You know, like make it like a 15-year trilogy kind of.
You're not going to hear opposition from me. I just don't think you would practice what you're preaching right now. I think you would really hate that idea.
No, but
And-
I'm telling
and
you,
also,
I love it.
You have to also
That's what I
consider
want.
that Alden Ehrenreich is a young man. They're not, unless they plan on heavily.
That's what I said. Film it now and put it in the vault.
No way.
That is never going to
That'd be
happen.
so cool on their part.
That is never.
Dude, that would.
You. So you're
Okay.
saying you're expecting them to spend a couple $100 million on a movie, and then sit on it instead of reaping in the $500 million that they stand to make.
Well, first of all, if any company can afford to do that, it's Disney. But granted,
Disney
the
didn't
only-
get to where they are because they sit on things. Yes,
but they
I know
can
they put things.
now.
Yeah, they won't.
But
Nobody's going to
but-
leave that kind of money on the table.
the only thing that dissuades me from it is the fact that technology changes, not the fact that they can't do it. But it's
No,
that,
dude, you're not thinking of the reality of the situation. The guys who make the movies, who write the checks to pay for that movie, are going to be retired when when you're talking about releasing it, and they're going to
Yeah.
be like, no, man, return on investment, ROI. It's
True.
time for the money time.
Yep, you're right. That's exactly the that's the reality of the situation, really. You're right.
To defend your theory, I love that. I love when they when they have the kind of foresight to like film stuff in advance, when they have actors under contract knowing they're making other movies. Maybe not this trilogy shelving necessarily, but like if it makes sense to put a young Han Solo in another project that they're filming, now that they have him like under contract, film it. I love when they do stuff like that. But I just don't think
I just
what
feel
you're
like,
talking about is realistic.
We're not getting any younger, right? So I would really like them to explore other avenues before, like, okay, we're making money. Let's flesh out this Han Solo trilogy. So think about that. One every second year. That's 6 years, man. Like, I want to see other stuff in between.
Fair
Yeah.
point.
Yep, I do too. But so we're gonna get Han Solo in 2018, and then you'll get Episode 9 in 2019. Then you'll get Han Solo again in 2020. But I think there's already a unnamed Star Wars project for that year.
True, exactly.
So who knows? Maybe as far as we know, it's just one Han Solo movie at this point.
Exactly. I hope they keep it at that in a way, unless they put it in the vault, because there's so much story to be had there.
Well, it sounds like they're really, it's all hands on deck with Lando and the Falcon and Chewie. Everybody is going to be in this current Han Solo movie. Sounds like whatever story they want to tell, they're going to tell it right now. And if the response to the character or the characterization of Han Solo is so popular, they'll think of a way to make another movie or two. But I think they're telling the
they'll make
Han
a trilogy
Solo.
of it I agree with that totally. And you just titled this show talking about the many Han Solo movies, and you said all hands on deck. So boom, titled. You
Nice.
queried it.
Nice. I haven't done that yet.
Well played, sir. I agree with you though. They'll definitely make more if there's an appetite for more, and I think
There will be.
all smart money is that there will be an appetite for more.
What do you
Yeah,
think
it's
about this? Like, I'd mentioned this in like maybe 10, 20 episodes ago that I really think this movie's gonna take the vibe or the feel of almost like an Ocean's 11. I don't know if you can see that in a way.
I don't know what. Yeah, I'm curious as I read that article, which everybody should. It's really is an interesting read because the movies that these guys have directed, like 21 Jump Street, like a couple of others that they mention, um, they've got comedic timing.
They're all
and
very
a
fun
sense
movies.
and a sense for action that not you don't usually have them both together. So I can't wait to see what they'll do with those characters. I jokingly said when we saw this article come out, Han Solo's going to break down the fourth wall, a la Ferris Bueller, Deadpool, and we for a couple minutes debated whether or not we'd ever want to see that. But I don't think it's crazy to think that we'll see something, not that specifically, but something like out of the box along maybe those lines of that different, a different style,
Yep, for sure. But anyway, let's move along. Let's move on to J.J. Abrams' clarifications that Rey and Kylo Ren haven't met prior to The Force Awakens.
Oops.
Oh yeah, big oops there. So that trash was already kind of in the trash, but the theory that Kylo Ren was the one that dumped Rey on Jakku. We used to. It was my theory that, when Kylo Ren thrashed Luke's academy, he couldn't finish the job with Rey, but he could take her and dump her in some far-flung planet, and she'd be his dirty little secret, and he could just pretend that this never happened. But now, as J.J. Abrams is going to say on the upcoming 3D Blu-ray release that's coming up November 15th, they've never met, but he's heard of her, which is interesting. So, Corey, does this change anything for you? Have you come to any different theories or conjectures on what this means?
Yeah, this changes everything. This is a game changer. I haven't really got my head around it yet, but after having read the article, I pretty much quoted like I have this quote written down. They've never met, but he's heard of this girl, and that means everything. Now, first of all, like they haven't met, so you're able to cross a lot of things off the list. Him having dropped her off there, like you had mentioned. So, but why has he heard of her? Who is she? Who is Rey? Why has he heard of her? That's the real thing you can take away from this.
Yeah, and I mean, we could go real deep with this, or we could say this is J.J. Abrams talking again, and he's not necessarily lying, but he's not being very clear, and he's going to clarify again. Well, what I really meant is that he says when Kylo Ren says the girl I've heard so much about, he's just talking about the events from that movie. That's how he's heard of her. I could.
That would be lame. That would be really lame.
It would be totally lame, but I could totally picture J.J. Abrams saying something like that just to muddy the waters again. He's done it before, and I'm not talking about Star Trek.
But
I think it lends more to the
legitimate. Sorry, go ahead, Corey.
Yeah, like James said, I think it's more legitimately based in something he's speaking about, like the experimental child, a prophecy, whatever Snoke knows. Who knows? Like, she's important and people know about her.
See, I took it a different way. Even though I think the statement, I'm basing it off the same statement. To me, that takes me off the like prophecy, clone, super Jedi, super Sith theory and puts it back to the sibling theory. I don't think that Snoke would want him to know about a clone or a chosen one. I don't think he would tell Kylo that, but I think he might know about a sibling or a cousin. So to me, if they've never met and he knows about her, to me that steers me back towards they're related to each other.
Or maybe Luke told her, or told Kylo Ren before he turned.
Maybe, but that's family still,
No, so there's something definitely mysterious going on, and that's what we could take away from this if his quote is true. But that's the thing that stood out to me the most.
Yep,
It's the
same
why.
part of the
Why
quote to
does
me
he
that
know?
exactly. We're and who knows? I'm not saying you're wrong. You could definitely be the right one. We're looking, but definitely we picked the same part to make important that he knows her. So I'm like, okay, well, why would he know her?
Maybe Laura
And another
Santeca
thing
told him.
too.
There's an
Another thing
interesting
too, though,
possibility, right?
in
Laura
the Force
Santeca.
Awakens, in the Force Awakens, correct me if I'm wrong, Kyle, but I think the first time he finds out about her, and it's a she. Doesn't he have a little tantrum?
Well, he doesn't have a tantrum. He throws his tantrum and he chops up his computer terminal. When he finds out that it was Finn that escaped or that helped the droid, and then he says, Kylo Ren says, anything else, and they had help from a girl, and then he force pulls that poor officer to him and says, what girl?
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Like, he's curious. He knows something. Like, what girl? Like, what are you talking about? Like, go on.
Well, I think that Kylo Ren already knows the girl he's talking about, and he just doesn't want to hear the answer. He has a sneaking suspicion that.
Well, why does he know her if they haven't met?
Have you heard of Wayne Gretzky?
Yeah.
Have you met him?
Yeah, but it's different. Like, why is Ray famous then?
She could be very famous within a very small circle of Knights of Ren, dark side users.
Exactly. That's why it says so much.
Yeah, but we got a lot of time to wait to find out what that means. But it certainly is a game changer. I think that much is clear.
Yeah. If we could take it for reals.
Oh, I think you could take it for reals.
Well,
All right, let's
the JJ thing.
Well, no, I'm throwing it. I think that's a possibility of JJ speaking in tongues and being intentionally vague again. He's done it before. As recently as a few months ago with I can't remember exactly what, but it was something that he said and then he went back on it and it was very frustrating and we had to talk about it. Let's talk about episode 8 for just a quick second here. There was a very detailed description on makingstarwars.net about Luke's costume. And we're not going to talk about the costume because really it doesn't matter that much to me. I don't know if it matters to you guys to dissect Luke's costume. But one of the things that was interesting was that from the description that was provided to the guys at makingstarwars.net, the person was unsure if Luke even has a lightsaber. So I just wanted to talk about that for a quick second. So it's kind of unthinkable to me that Luke would not have a lightsaber in episode 8. But I think it might be it's possible. Like,
I think if it is the case, I don't like it. I think you wrote maybe it was in your show notes. I'm not sure where I saw this, but like someone phrased it in the way to say sort of like, is he beyond the lightsaber now?
Yeah.
And when I read that, I was like, I hope I never watch a Star Wars movie in which people move, Force users move beyond the lightsaber. Like, that's when I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm good with the Star Wars I know, and I'm out. Like,
well, Yoda in Empire Strikes Back. No lightsaber.
The fact that he doesn't have one, well, he doesn't need one.
Right, but maybe Luke on Act 2 thinking the game's over. I'm out. I'm out of here.
Yeah,
I can leave this weapon behind.
If it's a case of he doesn't have one because he never fights anybody, fine. But what I'm saying is, if he doesn't have one and he doesn't use one by choice, then I don't like that. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm very uncomfortable with the thought of Luke with no lightsaber. I want to see him fight with a lightsaber.
Me too. Like first and foremost, we got to say that Mark Hamill looks fan-friggin-tastic. Like, he looks great, man, right now. Like, we got to see him in action.
Yeah, I would love to. Like, I feel like we would be robbed a little bit if we don't see him ignite his lightsaber, whether it's the old trusty green one from Jedi days, or if it's a new one he's picked up along the way. I would feel somewhat cheated, I think, at this point, if we didn't see him use it.
And
But
again, we've
I
talked
think-
about that scene also, that the reconstruction of a lightsaber, like maybe he's gonna make Rey undo hers and redo it or whatever, but supposedly there's that one scene where they're putting together a lightsaber. Maybe it's reconstructing his, you know.
Yeah, who knows? But I have to admit, I can see the possibility that Luke's left it all behind, and all he has now is his Force abilities, and I would imagine at this point they're considerable, and he may not need them to combat anybody. He could just use his Force powers, which would
Blow
seem
up pods and stuff. Yeah, I still don't like it.
I mean, at this moment, I don't like it. And I would have to see it
Yeah.
on screen, and maybe at that point, I go, oh, that's pretty cool. Like, he is beyond lightsaber combat. But I think always a part of me will say, but boy, I wished he'd had that lightsaber.
Yeah. Like, it's like after the Holocaust that he had witnessed under his own guard, right? His temple. Like, you would think he may want to probably like lay weapons down, and is in search of this first temple for that very reason, in a way.
Yeah, maybe he's taken some sort of pacifist oath at this point. Anyway, who knows? Corey, it's time to talk about Rebels, and it's time to kick James off the show for a bit.
All right, guys, have fun.
So Corey, we're back into the swing of things with Rebels, Imperial Super Commandos. Did you? I assume you watched this weekend.
Of course. But
So?
of course.
Is it
Yeah,
just
it was,
me? Or, I mean, were you head over heels for this one?
No.
I agree with you there. I was not head over heels for this one at all.
It was
think
good.
I think it was okay. But I have a few bones to pick before I get to the good stuff.
Okay, how about it?
So first off, and I've been talking about this for the last couple episodes, but captured again? I mean, it's getting ridiculous now. Like, we're into what, episode 6, I think? And in the last 5 consecutive episodes, they've been captured. It's getting old. So, did they get captured in Steps into Shadow? I don't think so. Do you know?
Oh. Well, no, not really. They're kind of playing the game. Like, Ezra ends up just cutting the power to the station, so it's a free-for-all.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, okay, so fine. I'll leave that one aside, as they did not get captured. But Holocrons of Fate, yes, Maul captured the Ghost Crew. The Antilles extraction, Sabine got captured again, along with Wedge and Hobby. Hera's Heroes, yes, Hera got captured. The Last Battle, yes, Ezra, Kane, and Rex got captured. Imperial Super Commandos, Ezra and Sabine get captured again. Like, come on.
No, you're right. To be honest, you're the first person to point it out to me, but now that you mention it, yeah, it makes sense.
It's granted it's different people getting caught, but it's really getting old.
Well, it had its purpose. Everything had its purpose so far, too.
But it seems like being captured has its purpose every time, but it seems like they're using that device of having the good guys being put in a really bad spot, captured on their knees at the mercy of their captors. There's got to be another way.
Yeah, you're right. They're trying to get all these characters back in the game.
And look, and often they're face to face at the mercy of a murderous lunatic, Maul, Thrawn, these bloodthirsty Mandalorians. Yet nobody suffers any consequences.
Gar
The worst-
Saxon.
Right? Like nothing ever happens to anybody. if you're gonna keep getting them captured and put into these hopeless situations, do something. Not that I'm begging for somebody to get killed.
No, that's not true. I think Gar Saxon's the only one to have lived this episode on his end, no?
No, I mean, it's, if the rebels are gonna keep getting captured, at some point somebody's gonna have to pay because they keep getting into this horrible situation and they keep getting out of it week after week, and that's got to stop.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing I have to say about this week's episode that really I was on pins and needles. Like I really thought Chop might have needed some reprogramming at the end of this one.
Not for a second did I think any of them were in danger. I'm getting numb to this now, and maybe that's the point. Maybe that the next time around, where somebody does get captured, somebody will pay the price.
No, this guy Gar Saxon looked crazy enough to me to, like, he kept threatening, I'm gonna put a bullet in your astromech, you know, and then he would
hold. He would hold for 5-6 seconds. Pull the trigger already. He did that like 3 times in the episode.
When he tried to kill Chopper like 2-3 times.
Yeah, but it was only after like the 3rd time he said it. And then he raises his gun. He aims at Chopper, who's 2 feet away. And he holds, and then Ezra uses the Force.
Yeah, but he tells Ezra too. He says, every time you're telling me more and more without you even knowing it. Like, granted, I don't think this guy's that smart, and I think he's an Imperial pawn. But, you know, once he gets Ezra to basically come out with telling him he's a Jedi or a Padawan at least.
Yeah. Anyway, so that was the biggest thing that bothered me about the episode. And then there was the Gar Saxon mentions Sabine's mom, and Sabine barely reacts. Like that's a big reveal. Sabine's mom. And of course, we saw this in trailers that this would be mentioned, but Sabine hardly reacts, and I don't get it.
She's so strong, man. Like, she says it, like, right away. She's like, you could see her eyes, like, furrow, and she's like, it's not by her own decision, I'm sure, you know?
I don't know. I didn't buy it at all.
I did. I got, like, Sabine's so strong. Like, she had her, I'm a woman now moment in this episode where, you know, things are going haywire, and she literally, like, it's so cool to see the roles reversed, really. I love it. Like, it's usually always the guy, but she literally grabs Ezra like a doll and says, hang on, or whatever it is, and she takes off with her newly acquired rocket pack.
Yeah, I mean, that was like the coolest part of the episode is that jetpack chase. Sabine finally, a Mandalorian finally getting her jetpack.
Yeah, she was so stoked about that. But just the way she grabs him, like, if you have it on PVR, like, rewatch it. She just like bang, like grabs him, like he's like whoa.
Yeah, she doesn't hesitate. There's no issues with that when it comes to Sabine. But I'll say this: if it comes to the point where we do come to meet her mother, who we spoke about, we had some speculation on who that might be. She better not react then either. She better just be like, "Hey, what's up, Mom?" Like, there better not be some teary moment or angst-filled moment where she yells at her, or the opposite emotional response. You didn't have it.
She's a teenager, man. Like, for sure, she's gonna hold it in, and she's gonna try to be true to the Mandalorian way, and eventually she'll explode. There's no doubt about that. It's drama. But she's gonna do her best, and she's been so strong so far. Like, look at the way she stood up to herself against Gar Saxon was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I like the character. I'm not totally sold on what they're doing with her thus far. I'm not crazy about the writing.
She's a runaway. You know, she ran away from her family, the Empire. Like, she went to go forge her own way.
I get it. I'm just not always buying it, that's all.
Cool.
Well, what else about this episode? I thought they talked. Go ahead.
Go for it. Go for it. No, you go first.
Well, I thought they talked about a whole lot of things. Well, talking about Mandalorians and this sect and the Mandalorian thing in Star Wars is, to me, one of the most confusing and convoluted things. There's the pacifist people, and there's the like terrorist parts. There's the Imperial sympathizers. It's so hard to keep track of who's who within this culture, and I just can't follow it very well. And they talked about all kinds of stuff in this episode, and none of it went anywhere. Like I don't know anything new at the end of this episode.
No, you're right. Like, luckily, I caught a bit of Rebels Recon, which kind of catches you up quite a bit on that. Like, this is probably, obviously it's already been written, but they basically say that these group of super commandos are the ones who break Maul out, and he comes back to Mandalore at a point after having Palpatine having captured him, which is kind of cool and interesting. And once Maul's out of the equation, this guy Gar Saxon's kind of trying to fill the power vacuum in a way, and he'll do whatever it takes to gain power, as opposed to having the pride that Mandalorians are supposed to have.
Yeah, so these guys come out of Son of Dathomir graphic novel. That's where we first meet these people.
Weren't
This
they in
episode
the
of
Clone
Rebels,
Wars too?
not Gar Saxon. I don't think Gar Saxon was in
Really,
Clone Wars. I asked the same question, but I don't think he was. The name just doesn't ring a bell.
It's nice how they retcon the costumes as well, or the Mandalorian outfits, to be like a mix between Mandalore and Imperial, like some of the original concept work for Boba.
Yeah, it's all some old Macquarie stuff brought back to life, which I think is one of the great highlights of Rebels as a show.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, like aside from learning that Sabine's mom, like, which we already knew, Sabine's mom is still out there kicking. I don't know anything new. We saw that in the end that Fen Rao officially joined the ranks of the rebels.
That was huge. I got the feels. I got the tingles when Sabine says to him at the end, "Welcome to the family."
Yeah, I guess it was a cool moment. He finally decided to commit one way or the other.
Yeah, he respects her.
But I also found, like, why were they sent anyway together? Like, why would you send Fen Rao? Like, I wanted to ask Hera, what are you doing? Why are you sending your two junior members plus this lunatic who would just as soon kill them, when Ezra is supposed to already be sort of under suspension from his actions in Steps into Shadow? Why are you sending these three people together?
Yeah, it's kind of odd.
It was a very, very weird choice.
I'm surprised Kanan, Zeb, or Hera weren't there, but at the
somebody
same time,
somebody
like,
senior should have been with them.
yeah, I totally agree with you there, but it really we're playing along that Sabine Ezra theme right now. Like, I think we're gonna start developing their relationship more, and I almost felt a Kanan Hera moment between those two when he kind of gets her at the end of the episode. He pulls her back on board, and he's got his arm around her, you know? And
Yeah,
it just
you
seemed
could see that they're subtly, or maybe not so subtly, planting seeds that maybe these two are going to get into some sort of relationship at some point.
You know, I don't know if I should say this on air, but I wanted to talk about this with you off air, but I really feel in the past 2 or 3 episodes, the visuals on Ezra have changed, and most particularly in his eyes. Like, he doesn't look like the same person anymore. There's something different about his eyes. Like, I don't know if you want to go back and check it out, but there's something different about his visual.
Well, somebody said at some point that, you know, they're making a concerted effort to demonstrate that he's maturing physically, so that could be part of it.
But you know what I almost see? I'm saying it again. Like, I don't want to believe this, but the way they're shaped, I see it in his eyes, and I see it becoming more and more Benicio.
Yeah, maybe. We can't rule that out.
No, we can't. And I don't know. I know you have them PVR'd and you'll watch them again, so just try and remember that and look for it.
I'll check it out. And again, so a lot of bones to pick, and it seems like I'm really dumping on the episode, which I guess in a way I am, but I did still enjoy it. It was fun. It had some fun moments to it. The jetpack chase scene was great Star Wars action.
Yeah, hashtag astromech surfing.
Yeah, I guess. There were a couple eye roll moments, like, oh
No,
jeez, but
dude, that's awesome. Chopper's my boy. Like, you want to literally like he was literally barreling through a canyon.
well, I have issues with flying astromechs. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, I think Chopper's the one that's brought it through to me. Like, the only thing that gives me the opposition to the idea is the fuel factor. But with Chopper, it's been there since the beginning, and he's an old school droid, so like, I believe it when I see it in him.
Yeah, you're right. But still, as a concept, I'm not big on flying astromechs.
You know what the best part was, though? Ezra falls, like, Sabine drops him, right? Big spoiler or whatever, okay? She drops him. He lands on Chopper. Chopper turns his head around and makes the point of telling Ezra that it was an accident.
Yeah, that was funny. But I want to go back to something you said a few minutes ago about how you watched Rebels Recon, and I love Rebels Recon. I always make a point to watch it. But you should not have to watch that show to understand what you just saw. That shouldn't happen. If you need to rely on Rebels Recon to understand what you've seen, they're not doing as good a job as they can.
It's not as easy as it seems either, though. Like,
No,
Pablo,
of course not. It's a very difficult job to create a new show within this universe. We're demanding fans, and they've yes, they have a lot of leeway, but they also have certain constraints in the canon. But I really feel like you shouldn't. The show itself should stand alone and deliver the points that it's trying to do.
like, I saw a question posed to Pablo Hidalgo this week saying, what's the difference between the Clone Wars and the Clone War? And he had to go out there and say, like, oh, it's a personal preference between each character. Like, duh.
That's pretty funny. All right, well let's move on from this.
Well, one quick thing, dude. Do you see the clip from next week, Iron Squadron?
I did.
You see that YT 2400?
Indeed.
Imagine if they kept this under wraps the whole time that Dash Rendar's back. Whoever was speaking back to them on the mic was pretty bold.
Yeah, well, what did they call it in the episode synopsis?
Basically,
a young ace pilot or something like that. So it could be.
That'd be awesome because I love that character.
Yeah, that would be cool. All right, so let's move on from Rebels for now. That was fun. I guess I would give that episode sort of a maybe a C plus, maybe a 6.5 on 10.
Yeah, I'm on the same page somewhat. Maybe a 7. I'll be lenient, 7.2. But it was a filler episode. Filler episode. What can you say? Like, they're starting to develop in like a. They gotta change it up. You know, like each character's got to get the limelight a bit.
Well, I know, and that's we always tend to call these episodes filler episodes, but I think the people who create them would be somewhat offended by that. But
Agreed, because
I
there
struggle
is a
to find
bigger
what this
picture
episode
here.
meant.
What it is, Kyle, I think really this is going to bring us back to, like, having Satine come back into it is going to involve Maul, which is
Satine's dead.
sorry, Sabine's mom is going to come back into this, which is going to lead to Maul being back into this and possibly twin sons.
Yep.
So it's a short way of writing that into it.
Yeah, you could be right.
Limited time.
All right, well, that's it for Rebels Talk this week. Let's put that on pause until next week, until we break down the Iron Squadron. That should be an interesting episode, and hopefully nobody else gets captured. That would be nice for a change. And now let's hear from our beloved Knight of the Commonwealth. We're going to hear from two beloved Knights of the Commonwealth today, but we'll start it off with Connor. Starting out with Ads, who's left us another splendid voicemail. Let's check that out.
Hello, chaps. How the devil are you? I have just spent a very enjoyable hour sending an anagram to James and watching the maestro at work, which will all become clear shortly. A couple of questions. The first one is actually influenced by your show last week and discussions about extras. And basically, from all of the previous Star Wars films, if you could choose to have been one of the extras, which one would you have chosen to be? Right, and then the second question relates to the show and the almighty success it's been so far in a relatively short time. And so many years from now, when the three of you are rich and famous and writing your own autobiography, I'd like you to tell me what you would call it. And for a laugh, perhaps what you think the others should call their autobiographies. So, for example, Kyle, he might choose his to be I hate clickbait. Corey, perhaps you'll go for the You're a Woman Now slogan. And James, I'll let you explain to the guys, but I think you should call yours Mahogany Golf Jerkiness at a Farm. I look forward to listening. Take care. Bye.
And there goes Ads once again. Thank you, Ads, for two deep questions this week.
Yeah, Ads is talking about some awesome anagrams that we were going back and forth with this week, and I've put a bunch of them up on Twitter. So if anybody's curious about what those are about for the autobiographies, check them out.
But what we're gonna do is kick over the autobiography question over to Sith Disturbers episode 3. I think that fits nicely in with the content of that show, the format of that show. So that's what we'll do, and we'll talk about being an extra. And I'm interested to see how Corey stretches the definition of extra here. So Corey, if you're going to be an extra in the Star Wars saga, what scene? Who are you with? Let's go. Let's see what you got.
I don't want to stretch it too much. I think you might be a bit disappointed here, but not necessarily. I think this is quite funny. Well, what I've always really wanted to be as an extra would be an X-Wing pilot. Not necessarily, like, I want to be a pilot. Part of a crew, like Gold Squadron, whatever it is, Phoenix Squadron, I don't care. But there's one scene on the Battle of Hoth, where a character by the name of Clivian says to Leia, first of all, X-Wing pilot, I'm happy with. If I can get a speaking role, I know I can do it better than this guy. Okay,
Hey,
Clivian.
You know that extras don't get speaking roles.
Do you remember this guy, Clivian? He
Here
had
we
a
go.
speaking role.
Here we go. He's stretching the definition. I knew it.
Do you remember this character?
Is that two fighters against a Star Destroyer?
Exactly. That was my joke. You ruined my joke. Two fighters against a Star Destroyer. Like, I could do better than that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, except
That'd
that's
be
not
cool.
that's not an extra. Sorry.
It's close. As close to it gets. So X-wing pilot. That's my answer. Or like,
But
pilot.
you also wouldn't be seen in a cockpit. Like if you were going to be an extra as an X-wing pilot, you would just be seen like running across a hangar. That's an
This
extra.
bubble burster.
Yeah, I know. An extra. An extra doesn't get shots in the cockpit. That's a paid actor. Like, are you saying Porkins is an extra?
Kinda. If I was an extra, then I'd be at the cantina bar drinking a drink and smoking something.
That's more
Nice.
like it. That is more extra. You don't get to have like a little featured bit as an extra, except for the ice cream man from Bespin. That's it.
I still
I-
love how you got the. I still honestly love how you got the two fighters against a Star Destroyer.
And I knew you were going to try and stretch definition of extra.
Yeah.
James, I don't know how you're going to top this, James, but have at it. What extra scene, or how would you want to be an extra in Star Wars?
Okay, so I'm also going to bend the rules, but not in the same way
Yeah.
Corey did. No, just make me a generic stormtrooper. But that way, put me in a ton of scenes. Like, let me watch them film all the scenes that have stormtroopers standing around in the background.
You'd have Stormtrooper continuity.
No, but not for me being in the movie. I wouldn't care. But just so I could have like bird's eye view on set of what's going on while they're shooting it.
Yeah, because they don't need to cast tens of thousands of people to be stormtroopers. They could just cast the same 50 guys, right?
That's what I'm saying. So I get to do like a whole bunch of scenes. I get to see everyone. So yeah, I'm bending the rules in that like I don't want a one extra scene. I want as many scenes as possible, and I think the way to accomplish that is in a white mask that takes away your ability to aim.
Fair enough. Yeah, I wanted to. I was mine's fairly simple. I just wanted to be a rebel troop on Hoth. I could be. I'm fine to be in the background, just walking or walk past the Falcon, or just doing whatever I do, freezing out in the snow. But I've always loved that gear. Maybe it's the Canadian in me, but that snowtrooper getup has always made me happy. And if not, like it would be like you said, James. I would love to be in a snowtrooper suit. That's
a pretty cool one.
Oh, it's the coolest stormtrooper suit. All right,
Good question.
good, very good question. I mean,
Both are good. I can't wait to tackle the autobiography question on Sith Disturbers when we do that. I hope nobody takes the low hanging fruit, boys.
Yeah.
we're gonna have to get inspired. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I think both questions are worthy of a few minutes. I'm sure we're gonna come up with some good stuff.
Indeed. All right. Thank you, Ads. Pulling some double duty this week. And now let's touch base with Connor, the other knight of the Star Wars Commonwealth. He says, "Good day, gents. Disney are remaking the prequels and have asked you each to star in the new trilogy. So who would you be playing? And yes, you can have a Gungan-free trilogy. Look forward to hearing your thoughts on this. Thanks, Connor, Knight of the Commonwealth. Loving your show each and every week. And as always, may the Force be with you." Well, thank you, Connor. It's
Oh, Connor, go on.
I bet you say that to all the girls. Okay, so James, so you want to kick this one off? It's sort of a very very similar question, just maybe in a well, it's sort
That's
of
different.
Ad's question on steroids.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me address Gungan free. So just really quickly, and I'll shorten my other answer in consequence. I was thinking, do you think everyone...
just to clarify, not ganja free, Gungan free.
Yeah, just so I'm clear, do you think everybody would hate them as much if like Jar Jar was played as like the idiot droid instead of the idiot Gungan? Like, is it the species we hate or the idiot sidekick?
Yeah, it's the idiot sidekick.
Is it? I don't know. 3PO is quite annoying, but no, we don't hate him in nearly the same way.
Oh, you know who hates him? Mr. Candido hates him some 3PO.
Does Candido hate 3PO?
Oh, it's bad. It's real bad.
I have to say, I have a bit of a beef with 3PO as well. Like, he's a bit of a bitch. Like in Rebels, what happens in one of the earlier episodes of Rebels, like season 1, Droids of Distress, I think. Like episode 3 or 4, I can't remember. He's just like, "Oh, help us!" Like totally reaches out to Callus.
But you need that character. Not everybody can be a hero. Like, you need
No,
the guy you need that character in these movies. Anyways,
I agree. He's innocent. He's innocent.
you need that guy. But that's funny that Candido. I'm glad to know that I've got a big 3PO head here. I'm going to send Candido a picture of right now. My answer to the question is super boring, so I wanted to at least take up some time with content. Cast me as Anakin and give me as many love scenes as possible.
That's pretty fair.
It's a simple answer. It doesn't take any time, but that's my answer.
I always said that if
So
I
you're
ended up in
talking
that position, I would screw up so many times. Take 30. Ah, geez, really? Guys, we want to go home. I don't.
I'd have Kubrick saying, "Okay, it's enough. We got the shot."
No,
So-
I got another 30 or 40 takes left in me. Let's just try this a few other ways. I have ideas.
So this is definitely Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith then.
Yeah, I definitely. Well, I have to pick one. So yeah, I mean, Attack of the Clones. Then
Yeah, that's money. Corey, who are you in the prequels?
Well, like rereading the question tonight, like not having to be a what do you call it? An extra without lines, which was so clearly pointed out to me.
Well, that's what an extra is. An extra. Oh, never mind. Forget it.
Anyway,
Who do you want to
yeah,
be in the
so-
prequels? Out with it.
Maul. I would love to be Maul, and he gave us the option of making it a Gungan free trilogy. I want to make Maul's death more plausible, but being Maul, no,
Except he's not dead.
he's not dead. But I would like to see his having being dismembered or cut in half retconned and making whatever happened to him more mysterious. And just the fact that he doesn't have to say too much and he's just so cool. Just a look, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, my answer is I can't say it's that inspired, but I'm going Obi-Wan, and for the sole purpose of job security.
I'm in all 3 movies for sure. All 6.
Heavily. I'm heavily in all 3 movies, and I have plenty of amazing action sequences, and I'm so good that people are begging to have me come back. And I get to do a little bit of voiceover in The Force Awakens. That's
you're-
my gig, baby.
Yeah, you're in all 7 movies.
Yeah, so
can't
to
argue
speak.
with that.
Job
With a
security,
possible
man.
spin-off.
There's nothing like job security. All right. Thanks, Connor. That was fun.
Yeah, that was good.
All right, let's move on to the mastermind of it all at the Star Wars Commonwealth. It's Mark from Talk Star Wars. Hey guys, congratulations on the new pod. Oh, thank you, Mark. Sith Disturbers is awesome. We think so too. With that in mind, I have a Sith-shaped Q for you to A. Not many people know who Darth Vader is post Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith. So what do you think the people of the Star Wars galaxy who have just seen the Empire come into being think of the Emperor's new right-hand man? Remember that we witnessed liberty die to thunderous applause, so the people welcomed the Empire into being, with only a few people suspicious of Palpatino's motives. So what did those pro-Empire citizens think when Palps was joined by a giant armor-clad monster with a red lightsaber? Did they see him as a Jedi, bodyguard, lapdog? How do you think Vader was received by the masses? As always, guys, you continue to raise the bar and move the needle. Long live the Star Wars Commonwealth, Mark. Corey, what do you think people... this should be fresh on your mind, because I know you're deep into Bloodline now. You should almost be at the end. What do you think? How do people look at Darth Vader?
Well, I think the movies kind of touch upon it a bit, obviously as well, in the sense that one of the first lines Leia says to Vader is, "Governor Tarkin, I should have expected to find you holding Vader's leash." So, like, you do get the sense right off the bat. Like, that's a relationship in Star Wars that's always very much confused me. The fact that the Grand Moff seems in A New Hope to be on top of Vader, you know? Like, he's kind of Vader's watchdog, or, like, master in a way. Like, not, like, he's above Vader in the echelon of things, which is
Vader
always
doesn't
been
really
kind
have
of
a
weird.
political rank or military rank. He's just sort of there off to the side as Palpatine's guy.
Yeah, I see him as Vader, as Palpatine's henchman, mysterious enforcer. Like, he was there to ensure that the destruction of the Jedi, like anything after Sith, Revenge of the Sith, is like he basically was looking to destroy the Jedi pretty much successfully, and after that, just being an enforcer and a watchdog for the Emperor. Probably doing special ops with him every now and again.
Yeah, if they wrote that novel, which you were reading, I imagine, I haven't read it, so you can tell me if I'm way off base, but I imagine that they would portray him as somewhat of a Wormtongue type character, somewhat of a, divisive character where people say, like, Jafar type character from Aladdin, where he's like the king's advisor, and some people around him go like, well, why would you have that sort of slimy, awful, terrible guy advising the king? And other people go, well, yeah, you got to look past the robotic evilness to that guy and think like he's really smart and he's like a really good advisor and like the king trusts him, so it's cool.
No, I've always seen him as Palpatine's tool.
Oh, I agree, but I'm just saying how people would see him.
Well, I think, as Corey can attest, because Bloodline is so fresh on his mind, people are mostly, at least the way I interpreted the content of Bloodline, terrified of Vader. Absolutely terrified. And there's one of the lead, absolutely, as they should be. One of the lead characters in Bloodline, Corey, what's his name? The political opponent of Leia in this book?
Don't ask me right now. Seriously, it's like supposed to be 149 right now with the time jump. Go back to the future.
The excuses. Well, so Ransom Casterfo in Bloodline.
His first name is Ransom?
Ransolm. Ransom.
Clever.
Yeah. Anyways, cool character. He's a bit of a jerkwad who kind of comes around in the end, but he describes his experience as a young man dealing with Vader, and it's just nothing short of utter terror. And you get the sense it's sort of a not quite universal thing, but it's the, I guess, the widest impression that I get, that people would just see this guy, whether they like the Empire or not. That guy's scary. And I think that's going to be reinforced. It's been a little bit reinforced in the comics. I've mentioned before on the show that the arc Vader Down really gets into Vader's brutality. And I think we're going to see a little bit of that in Rogue One, which will help to reinforce that as well.
I've always said this too, that I firmly believe that it was a huge mistake on, I guess, pretty much Luke's part to have not said that. Just come out with the truth right at the beginning. He was my dad. He turned back to the light side. He's not a monster. Moving on. But no.
Anyway, it's not an invalid opinion, I don't think. But that's it. Thank you, Mark. I think that answers the question. I think mostly people were afraid of Vader. Rightfully so, as James said. And move on to Steve15 Lewis, who comes to us from our friends over at the Gen X Wing podcast. Greetings, gentlemen, from Coruscant, aka Victoria, BC.
Oh, so beautiful. I love Victoria.
Never been, but I've seen the pictures.
Go.
Now?
Well, maybe wait till tomorrow.
Okay. I'm a relatively new listener to your podcast. He found my way to your show via our good friends over at Generation X-Wing. Yeah, look at this. Thanks for the referral, guys. But a big fan of what I'm hearing so far. I've already posed this question to your rapping compatriots over on the Talk Star Wars podcast, so I'd love to hear your thoughts. The Star Wars universe is such an amazing place with so many fantastic characters, creatures, worlds, and weapons. But my questions for you are focused more about the vehicles of Star Wars. First, out of all the vehicles from Star Wars, including the expanded universe, Legends, and those silly prequel movies, what is your personal favorite vehicle? The Falcon? The AT-AT? TIE Interceptor? The latter of those is my personal fave. So we'll stop there. He's got a couple other questions. James, what's your favorite vehicle from Star Wars?
I feel like I'm going to be really boring again. So I'll give some little shout outs. I would love a speeder bike in my collection. But definitely if I have to choose just one, it's the Falcon.
Yeah, the Falcon's like a character in itself, right?
Yeah.
Ultimate cool vehicle. It's like it's Eleanor.
That's like a learning curve for us too. Like having put out these polls, it should be something like excluding the Falcon.
Well, yes and no. You exclude it because it's whatever, because you think too many people are going to say yes, and you got to acknowledge it anyway. But the Falcon is so particularly cool that maybe it's worth having at least one of us take it. So I did, and now it's off limits to you guys.
Corey, take another one off the list. Make it harder for me. What is your favorite vehicle?
Well, first and foremost, I want to say that you kind of revealed something to me in saying that you're an AT-AT guy as opposed to an AT-AT guy.
Does it
yeah,
matter?
So no, it doesn't. But I've seen polls. It really doesn't. I've seen some really. It's interesting, the polls that have put out there about that. It's kind of funny.
Do you think anybody calls it an AT-AT or an AT-AT?
Oh, now
That's
you're
interesting.
just messing with everybody.
Now we got 4 options.
All right, well, go ahead. Enlighten us. What is your favorite vehicle, excluding the Falcon? It's off limits now.
Dude, there's so
From
many.
now on, I'm calling it an ATAT.
I love it. Well, there's so many out there. The YT-1300 is the Falcon. A-Wings, B-Wings. But I think I'm going to settle on the VCX-100 Light Freighter. The Ghost.
Well, that'll also take care of the next question from Steve. I've always been an X-Wing guy. But, that's not to say I haven't had, like, these torrid love affairs with other ships. Like, I love Vader's TIE. There was a point when I was younger, I loved the A-Wing. I loved the Snowspeeder. There were just so many things I was just wild about as a kid. But old reliable, the X-Wing, it's the workhorse of the rebellion. I've just always loved that ship. So that's still my favorite vehicle in all of Star Wars.
I don't know. I have to disagree. Having watched Rebels now, I haven't seen any X-Wings yet. It's all A-Wings.
Yeah, I think that when the X-Wings make their appearance in Rebels, and I say when because I'm sure they're going to come, it's going to be
cool.
amazing.
Yeah, it's going to be a big, like, the changing of the guard.
Yep. So continuing on with Steve's question. Secondly, with all that's happening with Rebels, The Force Awakens, and now Rogue One, what do you think is the coolest new vehicle to be introduced so far? The Ghost, Kylo ship, the new U-wing? So Corey, you're excluded from this question because you've already answered it.
Yep.
Uh,
Faux show. That's what I wrote in my notes. I was like, I pretty much wrote the same thing. Like, it was redundant for me.
So James, what is your of the new stuff that's sort of dropped? What do you think is the coolest?
So I'm gonna go with it was almost the B-wing, which was a pretty cool episode where we got to sort of see that thing launched. But I'm gonna go with the Shadowcaster, which
Yes!
is Ketsu Onyo, the
Oh,
bounty hunter.
yeah.
Remember that Blood Sisters
Yep.
episode that I didn't like?
Yep.
James,
Well,
you're the
my
man.
takeaway from that episode is that really cool ship.
That's awesome. I almost looked that one up, man. That's
what
a
it's
cool
called,
ship.
Corey.
No, but like the class of it, like what kind of ship
Oh,
is it?
yeah.
Like, dude,
I
that
didn't look
is
it
a
up.
cool ship and a cool name.
It is. It's a really cool looking ship for sure.
And that's why I'm super happy. In next week's episode of Rebels, we're gonna see the YT 2400, which is basically like Dash Rendar's ship. Like, it's like a Millennium Falcon, but way different. Like, it looks like it's a mix. It's a Millennium. It's a mix between the Millennium Falcon and the Shadowcaster.
Okay.
Really cool.
I guess they sort of have a similar shape. I'm looking here. I think it's called the GX1 Short Hauler, I think is the class of ship, Corey.
That's cool. It's definitely a dope ship. I'm glad you called that out because it was on my short list and I was like, I don't know. But good on you.
Well, there's also that really cool scene where Chopper's like on the roof of it, which made me laugh like crazy.
Oh yeah.
And Kyle, what are you taking?
Yeah, I would have went with Ghost pretty much hands down, but I can't do that anymore. And I don't like Kylo Ren's shuttle. I just find it really boring.
Yeah, it's all
And
right.
I haven't seen enough out of Rogue One. I mean, the only thing that's new is the TIE Striker and the U-wing, which to this point I'm not totally crazy about.
The big hard sell for me on the U-wing is the fact that we haven't seen it yet. And it's like a prequel to everything, so why wouldn't we have seen it kind of yet, like especially on Endor.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we could have, there's lots of questions we could ask down that vein. But my favorite one, and it's sort of a cheat because I think it was probably in Clone Wars. But Corey, we didn't talk about this, but in Imperial Super Commandos, the ship that Gar Saxon was flying, those Mandalorian starfighters, I love those.
Yeah,
I think
had
those
that
are
written
super
down.
rad.
What are they called? Oh, they're like called Fangs, I think.
Is that what they're
Because
called?
they have, I think something like that. It's a Fang fighter or something.
I think those are super rad. I like to have the wings kind of flip up and down.
Well, what it is like the cockpit stays still, but like the wings are like gyroscopic around the cockpit.
Are we talking about the same ship?
Yeah, you're talking about the one in the Concorde, the Protector of Concorde Dawn?
Well, we saw it yesterday.
Then no.
Gar Saxon's ship that well, not to spoil anything for James, but it was there briefly.
No, I found that very similar to Kylo's ship.
Anyway, so I'm sure Steve knows what I'm talking about. And finally, he's got a part C of the question. What vehicle do you think needs more screen time? The B-Wing, Slave One, or from the expanded universe, what vehicle would you love to see on the big screen? A TIE Defender, a YT-1000? I guess there's two questions packed in there, but we're running out of time, so let's just race through this. James, anything you wish had more screen time?
Yeah, I'll go with the B-wing. I think that to see what they would make that look like in a live action movie would be pretty dope, pretty badass. I'd like to see that.
I agree with you. I would love to see that, especially since they brought it back in Rebels, like you mentioned before. That I really need to see that back on the screen now. And I think they're still around because Leia's ship in The Force Awakens is basically a beefed up, modified troop carrier, but it's a B-wing. So I would like to see the fighter version of that brought back into the movies. I hope it's there because it could be such a weird, cool ship to look at.
Agreed.
Corey, what do you think?
Yeah, well, we pretty much all went the same direction here. Like, after having seen that one episode of Rebels, incredible. Like, the possibilities with the ship are incredible. Like, I love that gyroscopic cockpit and the firepower behind it. It was never properly captured on screen. But I'd like to see some other stuff too. Like, again, like that, the Outrider is a YT-2400. A lot more freighter. I want to see a lot more modified freighter class vessels involved in combat. I think that's something that's super lacking in the Star Wars universe.
Well, yes and no. I think
They're like the lead, like the way Hera's leading it. Like, she has Phoenix Squadron, right? Like, she has all these fighters behind her. You have one small, but like a freighter class vessel with like 5 or 6 fighter class vessels.
yeah,
You know,
I don't want to see them overdo it with the freighters. Like the Falcon is really special. It's like a one of a kind ship in the galaxy. And now we have the Ghost, which again is a really special ship, a one of a kind thing. The Outcaster is
What?
sort of on that same parallel. I don't want to
But
see
I
them
think
go to that well too often.
Yeah, but they should, because I think that's the way the galaxy is, man. Like, these ships are meant to be customized. Like, to each ship
It's
their
like
own, you know?
the Honda Civic of the Star Wars galaxy.
Kinda. Like, each one, like, Han's smuggling compartments. Like, there's so many little, like, nooks and crannies to be, like, exploited. Make it your own.
Han's got a Subaru for sure.
Nah, I would agree with that. And I think I would also agree with the fact that episode 49 of the Tumbling Saber podcast has come to a close. Steve Lewis, my good sir, 1-5 from the 501st. Thank you very much for that question. Glad to have you aboard. Don't be a stranger.
Welcome. Yes, thank you for the
Yeah,
great
thank
question.
you very much.
Questions.
Yeah.
Thanks to the Gen X-Wing podcast for the referral. The referral fee is now in the mail.
And let's not. I know we mentioned all except one of our Commonwealth brethren. So shout out to Rogue Squad Pod, who I've been listening to a lot over the last couple of weeks, and these guys are really funny. If you like beer and or Star Wars, and it doesn't have to be both, these guys are really good.
Yeah, they also hit me in the feels last week with some Metallica talk, which I always enjoy. Yeah, again, we've got a pretty good lineup of shows here at the Star Wars Commonwealth. Talk Star Wars, Gen X-Wing, and now the Rogue Squad podcast is the latest member. Check them out. Hit them up. I think we're on iTunes. If you look for Star Wars Commonwealth as a content provider on iTunes, you'll get access to all the shows, and you can just subscribe from there. Or you can just go to StarWarsCommonwealth.com. Get all the info there, and you can find links to hit our Twitter profiles, each and every one of us at our respective shows. And if you're in iTunes, please head over to our show page and just drop us a quick review. That would be more than appreciated, and it really does help us get exposure for the show. And so, guys, thank you, Corey, thank you, James, for coming by this week.
Always
It's been
fun, man.
Yeah, always a blast.
And you can find Corey at Chop Rules with a Z on Twitter, and James is at Tommy Bombadil1. I'm at Tumbling Saber. And until episode 50 next week?
Yes, I.
All right, everybody, that'll do for this week. Thanks a lot, and we'll catch you again on Sith Disturbers 3.
Self-redeeming qualities, have they hindered me? Hindering, was I blind to see? Blind to see that you needed me, all of me. Well, you were there for me. I will be there too, watching, listening. Every moment wanting all of you, and I believe I can save you, just don't let me go. And I can see I'll be waiting, always waiting, just don't let me go. Just don't let me go. Time goes on and I'm questioning all the things I've seen, crazy things I've seen as I'm watching you. I'm watching you walking away from